Hello, this is Nina Perez at Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Thank you so much for watching. This show was created for resources, tools, and tips, and hopefully to discuss life topics that maybe will challenge and transform your thinking. So today I wanted to introduce someone who I admire. I have been reading her books and I am super excited that she has agreed to be here with me today. So let's get started. Her name is Joanie Butman, and Joanie is an author of several collections. She has faith essays. One is called Heart Murmurs, Table Talk, and The Issue Room. And she has her latest book, which is I Don't Buy Green Bananas. And that describes her journey through cancer, the diagnosis, the treatment, and the recovery. So she has a blog right now called Coffee Talk. She launched it in 2012 as a part of the Choose Wisely campaign. And I thank you so much for being here with me today, Joanie.
Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited. So I would like to get started by you just letting us know a little bit about yourself and letting our viewers know who you are, if you don't mind.
Well, I'm not all that interesting, quite frankly. I'm very ordinary.
That is not true.
And, you know, I grew up in Brooklyn in a neighborhood of Italian and Irish Catholics. The whole neighborhood revolved around the church. You were defined by what parish you belonged to. Everything was about the church.
Right.
And it defined my childhood, the Catholic Church. Not always in a good way.
Right.
So I graduated from Catholic school, and the one thing I can thank those nuns and priests for is they really got it through to me that I needed a savior because I was a hopeless cause.
I think we all were at some point.
St. Jude, who's the patron saint of lost causes, became my buddy. Anyway, they did teach me that I needed a savior. They didn't provide one, though. And,
deep.
you know, I'm talking about the church that I belonged to when I was young. So that was a long time ago.
Right.
So, you know, everything has changed since then. But it took me 40 years to actually find a savior.
Wow. To find a relationship, is that what you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, my faith at that point was really my parents' faith.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the way it should be.
Right.
And they were teaching me what they believed. And it was a great foundation. And I'm glad they did, and I really appreciate it because they were always consistent in their faith. Mm-hmm. And though I didn't agree with a lot about the Catholic Church, and that whole condemnation and damnation kind of did more drive me away from God than bring me into a relationship with him. So it took many, many years for me to come back. And then I have two children, 23 and 25, Hannah and Doug, and I lived in the city. And then when they were school age, we decided to move out to the suburbs. And to someone who grew up in Brooklyn and spent most of her life in the city, this was like moving to another planet.
Bit of a change, yeah.
So someone told me to look into Bible study to meet people. And they had free babysitting. So I decided, all right.
That's a plus.
I'll try it. And that's how I started reading the Bible. Now, when I was young in Catholic school, you weren't even allowed to read the Bible. You know, you were taught the catechism, you weren't taught the Bible. So this opened up a whole new world for me.
It's all new to you, yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is amazing. You know, they've been holding out on me all these years. This is what I've been looking for.
Right.
And it just started this whole journey to a relationship with Christ. And actually, the books came out of that journey because, you know, after many years in Bible study, they would ask me to talk or speak at a conference or something, and then actually putting it in book form was cheaper than making copies because people were asking for copies of my talk or something.
Oh, wow.
So at that time, it was cheaper to put it in a book form than to go to Kinko's and make copies. So that's how it started. So I'm an accidental author.
Right. So you weren't an author before all of this?
No. No, I didn't even finish college because I couldn't get through the English courses.
Wow.
So,
So this really did open up a whole new world for you.
it's definitely a God thing.
Wow.
Because when I first was getting the idea of writing a book, I was very reluctant. I'm like, no way. That's
Right.
not what you want me to do.
Right.
That's not my forte. And that's usually what he wants you to do.
Right, right.
Yes.
Right. What's not your forte? You're absolutely right.
Because if he got an accomplished author to write a book, it would not be any big deal.
Right, right.
But
That's a good
if
point.
you just take an ordinary suburban housewife and ask her to write a book, that's a big deal.
Right. Wow,
So-
that's amazing. And so it really did like open up a whole new world more than one way, right? Because
Oh,
you
yes.
not only just
Yes.
learned, you probably had a new community around you too, right? In a different
Oh.
community.
Yep.
You already moved from the city to the suburbs, so that's
Right.
already one community. And then you're going into Bible study, and now you're writing books.
Right.
So it's pretty impressive how God tends to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
He just comes into your life and kind of flips it a little bit, and you're just like, whoa, what's happening? But you go with the flow, right? And
That's called
yeah.
a divine ambush.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll be using that one because I've been through a little bit of those ambushes
Oh,
myself.
yes. It's not an original. I think Richard Rohr coined that phrase, but that's what it's called, a divine ambush. And, his is an upside down kingdom. So
Right.
if you want to get to know him, you're going to be turned upside down
Yeah.
and inside
so
out.
So then I'm assuming that then your kids, being that they were going into the babysitting and all that stuff, so they were more into Christianity. I'm assuming is what you went
Yes.
into the Bible study, right? So Christianity more than the Catholicism, right? Or
Correct.
did you raise them
Although
Catholic
I did,
as well?
I did. I raised them in the Catholic Church
Okay.
up through communion.
Okay.
And then I had a brief stint as their teacher in Christian Ed,
Okay.
which did not go over so good. I had my daughters heckling me from the back of the room when I was, I'd say something. She goes, "Don't believe her. She doesn't act that way at home,"
Oh
or
my
something.
gosh! Oh, kids will always put you to shame.
So I decided that was not my forte
Right,
either.
right.
So anyway, we stayed in the Catholic Church until probably they were early, maybe when they were tweens, we left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when you went to do the studies, the Bible studies, was that underneath a Catholic?
No,
okay.
Community Bible Study is
Oh.
a global organization.
Yes.
It's non-denominational.
CBS, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
CBS. It's non-denominational, and anybody can go.
Yeah. I heard
So-
about them. I haven't been.
Yeah,
but
they
a lot
do
of
not
people have
teach
said-
religion.
Right.
You
just
study
teach
the Bible.
Yeah, they teach the word. I've heard that. I've
Yeah.
heard it's also very intensive. Like they're very intense. Very intense. Where they give you a lot of homework, and you study a lot, and all of that, which is good.
Yeah, I mean it's not, onerous.
Right.
The whole model is based on reading a little bit each day
Okay.
and doing a couple of questions each day. So you're actually in the Word all week.
That's good.
How does it usually happen? 11 o'clock on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
I'm doing all the reading and all the
Right.
questions.
Because Thursday is the
Yeah,
got it.
So then it feels like a lot of
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
But
you're right.
actually, no. When it all goes the way it should be, it's a little bit each day, and it's a great exercise and it's a great discipline to keep you in the Word and applying it.
Right.
Because you can acquire knowledge. Anybody can acquire knowledge,
It's true.
but that's not wisdom.
That's good.
So, there's a lot of people out there, a lot more educated than me, a lot more learned than me, but they're not necessarily wise. So it's applying the theology to the scripture to your life is where you develop the wisdom. That's where the books came in.
Right.
So, the books are really a public journal
Yeah.
of my faith journey,
Yeah.
and I just share what I've learned.
Yeah, and I actually wanted
know.
to talk about that. I wanted to talk about your books and touch on the essays and stuff, and your latest book, of course, and your blog. And I want people to be able to find these books and reach out and read what you have to say. You are very funny. I found your books to be very entertaining and funny, and they also had very intense stories and sad, and I was able to skim through them. I wasn't able to sit down and read them fully, which I do intend to do very shortly.
The good thing about it is you don't need to, because the first 3, they're just essays. So they're little short stories, so there's no rhyme or reason to them.
Right.
They're kind of
I
random.
did notice that.
It's kind of random.
That, but I like that. Because you can kind of start in the middle, you can start in the beginning. I did notice that. So I want to touch on, let's start with Heart Murmurs, okay? Because this was your first book in 2006, and this is Heart Murmurs right here. And it celebrates everyday spirituality, which is forgiveness, worry, this is funny, plastic surgery, and Christmas lights. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about this. Like, what about the collection of testimonies in this? Because that's very random, right? Forgiveness and worry, I get that.
Yeah.
But the plastic surgery and Christmas lights, that made me laugh. So also I saw back here as I was reading that your proceeds go to Pura Vida.
Right.
Which I know is for children. I actually like Pura Vida very much. I volunteer every year to pack the foods and do all of that great stuff. It's a great organization. So I wanted you to touch on this. Do you mind doing that, touching on Heart Murmurs a little bit with us?
Sure. That one came directly from the talks that I gave at Bible study. And I was on a retreat and I was giving a talk, and a lot of people came up afterwards looking for copies, and they said, you should just put it in a book.
Yeah.
And, you know, the women in that Bible study, I mean, let me put it in context. There's like 200 people in this Bible study. This is not, a handful of women in somebody's house. There's a lot of women. It's a very well-run organization. And, you put into small groups of 15. They rotate each year, so you get to know everybody. You eventually get to know everybody. And they try to mix the groups on, depending on the years of Bible knowledge you have, your age. So there's always a senior person, someone middle of the road, and lots of young moms.
Is this CBS you're talking about?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So I came in as a young mom, hit the middle road, and now I'm a senior person.
Right.
So it's so hard to believe that, they've passed the baton down. But yeah, I've been in for 22 years now.
So these were stories of like what
So,
happened with
in
you
Bibles,
or with other people?
During CBS, they're called testimonies, where you get up and you talk about anything that you want.
Okay.
And so it might touch on something that we're learning about. It might be something I'm struggling with at the moment, whether it be forgiveness or worry or Christmas lights.
Right.
Which that's a story about our Christmas lights that my husband puts up, and how it actually reflects our family.
Oh.
The way, I'm the big fat colored Italian lights, and he's the very staid, white, simple, twinkling light.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So,
That's funny. Now, what about the plastic surgery story in there?
geez, no, I can't even remember plastic surgery.
Well, I mean,
story.
this was a while ago.
Yeah, it was
this.
a while ago. It was probably oh, I know what it was. It talks about Botox and it talks about beauty in a way, the way women are encouraged to strive for a beauty that's really not attainable for the average person.
That's good.
And really makes you feel less than.
Yeah.
And everything, your teeth have to be white enough to light the way in the dark, and you can't have any
you're
lines or
truth.
anything.
Yeah.
So it's not real.
Yeah.
It's not real. So that's basically what that is about.
Yeah. It's hard, just going with what you're saying, it's a very, not only is it not real, it makes it very depressing and hard for people who are trying to attain it.
Right. Because you
it's
can't.
not.
You're chasing something you can't.
Yeah.
You can't catch.
Yeah. And it is really hard to see people that do struggle with that, right? Because it's something that it's a real thing, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and
it's
even worse now than when I first wrote that because of all the social media.
Yeah.
And thank goodness I'm not young anymore. You know, everything is produced.
Yeah.
Their whole lives are produced.
Yeah.
They're not lived, they're produced.
Yeah.
So everybody always has to be camera ready, and
It's true.
It's-
and the
it's
filtering,
sad.
every
Yeah.
social media
Yeah, it's really sad.
app has a filter in it. So you can look like super young, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, when the filter's off, that's not how you look, and that's okay.
It's
And
okay.
that is okay.
This is me.
You know, exactly.
This is
Exactly.
me.
I know. I was telling my husband that I'm getting wrinkles like around here a little bit and here, and I'm like, I think it's kind of nice. You know, I mean,
I earned them.
yeah. I mean, I still dye my hair. I'm not gonna lie.
Me too.
You know, because I get a lot of grays, and I'm like, I cannot, you know, with the grays. But
Yeah,
so
well, I used to have this motto, no sharps. I'll do anything that doesn't involve sharp objects.
oh, that's good.
I'll color my hair, I'll go on a diet, I'll work out, but, you know, no plastic surgery.
Yeah, good for you. Good.
I'll even whiten my teeth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That I'm thinking about doing that myself. So I get that. I drink a lot of coffee. So,
Me too.
So Heart Murmurs is the one written in 2006, guys. So it's this one, and it is super funny. There's some really great stories in here. So that's our first one, right? So that all the proceeds, like I said, go to Pura Vida. And if you don't know Pura Vida, which is Puravida, you should really look them up because they're pretty amazing. It's an amazing organization. So the next one was Table Talk. And Table Talk is food for thought that's easy to swallow, which I thought was really funny. And I liked what it said in the beginning. It said, "Are you tired of fad diets and empty chatter that leave you unfulfilled? And do you crave more heartfelt conversations along with more carbs?" Yes and yes. Okay. But I like that. That was witty. I really like that. These are thoughts from everything from motherhood to window cleaning with faith as the main ingredient. And all proceeds of this goes to Focus, which is the Fellowship of Christians in University and Schools, which I thought was pretty cool. I never heard of that. So is Focus something that all the colleges have, or?
I don't know if it's in all of them, but it's in private schools.
Okay.
So it's in New Canaan. New Canaan has a chapter.
Oh, that's great.
And my children went to St. Luke's from 5th grade on, so they went to Focus when they started going to
Oh, that's great.
there. And well, after my brief tenure as a Christian ed teacher, I realized that somebody else was going to have to be the one to, I mean, I could plant seeds, and I certainly did, and I tried to teach by example.
Right.
I mean, listen, if they heard the word Jesus one more time in our house, they would just scream. They have.
I have kids too.
When they found out I was writing a book, they're just like, "Oh my, oh no." So they became involved in that, and it's you know, it's a youth group, just a Christian youth group.
Oh, that's good though, because you need, you know, especially when you are walking in a faith, right? And we're talking about Christianity right now. So when you're walking in your Christian faith, and you're young, that is very hard to do.
Yeah.
And it's extremely hard when you have other peers that maybe don't believe what you believe, or there could be some bullying involved or things like that. So
Yeah.
So I totally get that. And that's great that they have an organization, I didn't know that, called Focus, that does help Christians in universities and in schools. That's really awesome.
It's a great organization.
Yeah.
And you know, when they were in the public school, and I would bring them to CCD, and not all their kids were going, and they're like, "Why do I have to go, and other people don't have to go?" So it's the same kind of thing, but they were doing it with their friends.
Right. Okay.
And that meant everything.
Yeah. And you probably solidify more friendships because there's something that connects you.
Yeah.
Right.
So they did it before school. We called it bacon, egg, and Jesus. And we always made bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches.
That's awesome.
So
that's really great.
Yeah.
So this is a Table Talk right here. This is Table Talk, and these are the thoughts from everything from motherhood to window cleaning, which is pretty awesome. So are these the same, like small stories as well?
Yep.
Or
short essays, you know, just about everyday life. different things. Just I always write about how God is working in my life. So it depends on what happened that week, or what I was struggling with that week. It's the way I process life.
Right.
I dissect it. I learn from it, hopefully, and if I learn something from it, that's worthy of passing on. I try to pass it on to someone else. And basically, we're all struggling with the same things.
Yeah. This is so
there's
true.
nothing new.
That's so true.
So, honestly, I wish more people would be open to discussing, what they're actually struggling with.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of that on social media.
No, you don't. And you're right. I think that's, one of the main reasons why I did start this show is because I wanted to talk about real life topics. I felt like sometimes I felt almost the same as what you're describing, is that when I read social media posts, it was stuff that's either way violent that I don't like to see, way negative, or there was a lot of bashing of each other and things like that. And I found that there was not a lot of authenticity. But honestly, that's where we are right now. We are in an age where people are connecting through social media more than any way else, right? So I said, well, how do I connect then? How do I connect with people locally? How do I talk about real life topics? How do I, challenge and transform people's thinking? What do I do? So I did the same thing. As you know, I wrote a book as well. And I have a blog and a podcast and all that great stuff. And that's what really struck me with your books. As I was skimming through them, I would read one story and I would start laughing, and then I would go to the next story. I'm like, oh, and stuff like that. But I realized that this was really smart. I like that you did it the way you did. I mean, you talked about real things that I think everybody can connect to at some level.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like you said, that we're all struggling through the same things, just maybe in a different area code, or or a different, a different nationality or whatever. So what? At the end of the day, we're all human, and regardless of where you live and where you came from, we all struggle and we all go through things. And sometimes just hearing a story that we're like, oh, I remember that happened with me, connects you in a deeper way. So that's really bold of you too to write it, because you're being very transparent and vulnerable, right? Because when you're writing, I don't know how your writing style is. Do you journal? Is that what you do? Or
well, those are my journals.
That's what I mean. So this is how you journal.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So when you're going through something, are you just like writing at the moment, like this is what happened to me today, and that just becomes part of the book? Oh, that's really cool. That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah,
I like
I
that.
can definitely recognize when things happen. This would make a great one.
Yeah.
Like just today, I had a dentist appointment this afternoon, and I don't know what I was thinking when I made it, but he ended up numbing like the whole bottom of my mouth. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is a Lucille Ball moment.
Right.
How am I going to go on this TV show? I can't move the lower half of my face.
Oh, no.
So, we'll start with something like that, and then I'll just be chuckling to myself, like, I can't believe you did this to yourself. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going ahead with it, and weave in some kind of spiritual message with it.
Right.
Because I find that's why the subtitle of that is Food for Thought, that you won't choke on.
Yeah, that's easy to swallow.
Because I try to keep it light,
Yeah.
light enough that people don't go, don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because if you start right up with Jesus says this or Jesus says that, I mean, a lot of people, they just shut down.
Yeah.
But so I find that people respond to humor, and they respond to authenticity and vulnerability.
Yeah.
So if and I'm not trying to preach, I'm just saying this is what happened to me.
Yeah.
And this is what I saw in it.
Yes.
And you don't have to read it.
And that's the thing, though, is if you're going to be lighthearted and authentic, it is. I mean, this is perfect. That's easy to swallow. It's so true. because when it's your truth and your reality, right? It's easier for me, if I'm not a Christian, to listen to what you have to say, because it's your
Right.
experience and your truth, right? You're
my
not telling me that it
experience.
has to be mine.
Correct.
You're just sharing what happened with you, and that's powerful in many ways. I really like that you decided that it's important enough to write about, right? Because a lot of times, like you said, you wish more people would do that. And there's some people struggling through some really serious things. And I always think about, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You'd be very surprised how many people are going through what you're going through, and want to be there for you, but don't know you're going through it.
Right.
You know, when I went through with writing my book, I couldn't believe the amount of people that came to me to say, "Oh, me too."
Me too.
Yeah, you went through that.
No, I'm just thinking of
yeah.
Brene Brown or something.
Yeah.
Like the fastest connection with another person is to hear those two words.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, it was encouraging, but also hurtful, because you didn't want anybody to go through what you went through.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, it encourages you to know that you're not alone, and that you can be there for people, and that people, will accept you when they know that you have connected at some level with them.
Right.
So this is so much fun. So we are halfway through.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And we are going to be right back with Joanie Butman to discuss her last 2 books and her blog, because I really want you to connect with her. So we will be right back. Hey there, welcome back. This is Nina Perez at Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. And we are discussing a lot of amazing faith and life topics with Joanie Butman. And we have gone through 2 of her essays so far. One was Heart Murmurs, and the other is Table Talk, which is food for thought that's easy to swallow, right? So all of her books go to different organizations. All the proceeds go to these different organizations. And so right now I wanted to touch on this next book, which is The Issue Room. In The Issue Room, I was reading the back of it, and I love what it says. It says, "Let's face it, we all have issues. And if you don't think you do, then you've just discovered one of yours." Okay, so that's pretty
That
forward.
sets the tone right there.
Yeah, that's pretty forward. That's so funny. So you stretch our hearts and minds to embrace our issues with a new appreciation for their purpose and place in our lives. That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about that. So when you say that you want to give us a new appreciation, right, of the purpose of things in our lives, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, pain. When you're going through painful things, and we all do. I mean, life is hard.
Life is hard.
Life is hard. It is not easy.
Right.
And so we're always dealing with some kind of issue. But most people don't like to talk about them. They'll say, "How are you?" "I'm fine." That's it.
Yeah.
But if you start talking about an issue, all of a sudden it's out in the open, and then people will start saying, "Me too, me
Right.
too," or "I've struggled with that. This is what worked for me. Have you thought about this?" Or, I always go back to my Bible study group, because with 200 people, there's someone there who's gone through the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of that fellowship, is that no matter what you're going through, there will be somebody there that's already gone down that road.
That's true.
And that is willing to be vulnerable enough to share that with you and help you through your own journey.
So you think that having that fellowship is what gives you a new perspective of what you're going through?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It also, I mean, studying the Bible for me, it's not it's not what happens to you in life.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you do with it, how you perceive it.
Yeah.
That defines you.
Right.
Because bad stuff happens to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's what you do with it. I mean, okay, this happened, you know, am I going to be a victor or a victim? And, you know, then if you can change the way you think about something, you can change your life.
Yeah. Wow, that's so powerful, and it's a lot of what you're saying is a lot of what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that you need to think about what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
You know, I was just thinking about what I was thinking about recently, and because I was going through a little bit of a woe is me moment type of thing, you know.
Well, those are always
Yeah.
fun too.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have them every once in a while. A pint of ice cream, a sad song. Okay, but you got to limit it.
Thank you for the permission, Joanie. Yes, I agree. That's good. I agree with that. And I also feel like you need to be so careful because those moments can take you one of two directions, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's either going to strengthen you and you're going to learn from that and learn how strong you really are and move forward,
Mm-hmm.
or you're going to stay stuck in that longer than you should.
Right.
Right. And when you're in that, and I used to be that way many, many, many moons ago, where I would, the woe is me moment lasted like a woe is me eternity. It wasn't a
Right.
moment, you know, which caused depression and anxiety
Mm-hmm.
and all of those things. Right. And it wasn't until the same with you, I also found a relationship with
Right.
God. Right. And that's kind of what changed me as well.
Mhm.
And not everybody's there, and that's fine. That's just what worked for me.
Right.
And so I agree with you 100% that perspective is everything.
Yeah.
And life is hard. It's
is hard.
really hard. But life is also wonderful. So it just depends on what the lessons are you want to learn and how you want to go through them to get to the other side.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. Fellowship is important too. I heard you say that. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
Knowing that you're not alone.
Yeah.
You said something earlier about burdens
Mm-hmm.
and how heavy they can be.
Mhm.
And if you share them with other people, they don't have to be that heavy.
Right.
They can be shared with people. I mean, I choose to share them
Mm.
with people, but I also choose to share them with God. So they're not as heavy when someone is helping
When you
you
spread
carry
the
it.
weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we don't think that we can, and you'd be
Right.
surprised how many people will step in and help you with that weight. You would
Oh.
be very surprised.
Yeah.
I sometimes get to the point where I don't know why. I don't know if you go through this, but there's sometimes where I don't want to share the burden. I don't want to bother people.
Yeah, of course.
And but I realize that when I do, it is pretty amazing when you have good friends and or good family members that are willing to really help you with that. They really are, and you're not alone. And so that's really great. And that's what I liked about the issue room is that it really talks about that we all do have issues. And so you are not alone in this. You have,
Yeah.
and you know what? Pick up the issue room because you're not alone in it, and you can read about it. And all the proceeds.
Spa
from-
treatment for your soul.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I like the picture. All the proceeds from the issue room go directly to the Exchange Club of New Canaan.
Yep.
And what is the Exchange Club?
It's a men's club in New Canaan.
Okay.
And their main goal is to prevent child abuse.
Nice.
So their biggest charity that they support is the Parenting Skills Center in Stamford, but they also support a lot of other local organizations, but primarily child abuse.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So that.
So I joined Bible study when we moved to town, and my husband joined the Exchange Club.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. And so are you still at the community Bible study?
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
still do? You still do?
I still do.
Wow. Is it in New Canaan or?
Now it's in Darien. at
Okay.
Norotan Presbyterian. It's not affiliated with any denomination.
Right,
They
right,
just
right.
rent
They
space
just
from.
space, yeah. I heard about them from somebody who went to the Westport chapter.
Yep.
So I guess you guys, I mean,
Oh,
it
they're
must
all
be
over the
everywhere,
place.
right?
Oh, they're
Oh,
everywhere.
that's
They're
good.
global.
Oh, it is global. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was just in this region. So it's global.
no,
That's
no.
wonderful to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So that's Community Bible Study or CBS, right? So if
CBS.
people want to look for it,
Yep.
they can find it probably locally.
Oh, sure.
That's really great. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's wonderful. So that was the issue room, right? So I wanted to talk about the one that you recently wrote because that one, this is a powerful one. Let me read this a little bit to you. It says, "Is there an upside to cancer?" Well, there is if you're Joanie Butman. In her latest collection of faith essays, I Don't Buy Green Bananas, this is the center stage with cancer, where she talks about the biggest challenge yet, a cancer diagnosis. Right now, this is some serious stuff we're talking about now. So this is the book here, and it's I Don't Buy Green Bananas. And I wanted you on this show because we met at a party. And when you told me the title, I'm like, what? I thought it was a cookbook, right? When you said, I don't buy green bananas. And I'm like, wait, I'm a chef. So what do you mean by that? You just don't buy green bananas because you don't want to cook with them? And your answer was profound. Do you remember what you said?
No.
Why did you name it, I Don't Buy Green Bananas?
It's I don't know who originated that saying. It might have been Groucho Marx, Rodney Dangerfield, I don't know. But it basically means, I don't know if I'm going to be around long enough
Yes.
for them to ripen.
Yes. Oh, that was so profound, Joanie. So profound. It was so profound. It stuck with me it's still stuck with me. Actually, it still sticks with me. Because I realized a few things when you said that. One is, do any of us know if we'll be here long enough to watch them ripen? And then that made me start then thinking about, then I need to look at life. And am I afraid to do something? Because if I am, I need to do it afraid. And it just made you think about, it made me think about all these things. It challenged my thinking. Because, I was like, wow, I mean, you're talking about it from a very profound moment in your life and things that you went through in your life. And I was thinking about, like, in general, as us as people, as humans, do we really always think we're promised tomorrow? Because we're not, right? And so maybe any of us should buy green bananas. We might not even be here tomorrow. So what makes today count?
It's a show of optimism every time you buy one.
Yeah, right? I mean, you have to make today count.
Yeah.
You have to make today count. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about this. I read something here that I wanted to share. Here it is. If you do have the book and you wanted to follow, I'm on page 110. And it says, "There's no question that you approach life differently when faced with a terminal illness. You take out the good dishes, you cash in your airline miles, you wear the nice outfit you've been saving for the special occasion, and develop a sort of black humor. My motto after my 51st birthday was, old trumps dead every time. You also enjoy your every minute of your day with a new appreciation for the most precious gifts of life. The little annoyances of daily life doesn't seem so irritating anymore, and daily dramas take on a little less importance." That's so true. "If I died tomorrow, how important would it be to have a clean house or all the laundry done?" That's so powerful. I had to underline it, and I was like, wow, that's a different perspective.
That's a different perspective.
That's a different perspective.
Although my kids would prefer to have the laundry done, quite frankly.
Yeah, of course,
At that point in time.
Oh my gosh. So tell me about this. Can we go through this journey with you?
Yeah.
I would love to go through this journey with you about, how did this even come about? Like, I know that this is about cancer. I want you to talk about what kind of cancer or how you even thought there was something wrong, because this can help someone, So I'd love to touch on this.
Okay. I mean, it's definitely one of my most heartfelt books because I wrote it as I was going through it.
Right.
And it's my version of a reality show, I guess. And I had a stomach ache, and it just wasn't going away. And I went to the doctor, and it turned out that I had a basketball-sized tumor in my gut, and it just, the whole world turned upside down. And so then coming up to speed with the cancer language, and I mean, luckily I have two sisters who are doctors. One's an oncologist, so I don't know how other people get through it,
right?
Because it's a lot to take in, and you have to do it very quickly. So, see, that was Christmas Eve. That's when they diagnosed it, and then I was operated on by January 6th. So it all happened very quickly.
That was quick.
And then it came back 6 months later. And at that point, they said, well, there's nothing we can do. Because they didn't want to operate again, they said, once it comes back again, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you want to go through another operation?
Wow.
I was like, well, why wouldn't I want to go through another operation?
Kind of wrote you off a bit, huh? Yeah.
So it took me a while. It took me a few months to convince them to operate.
Wow.
I was like, what do you care?
Right. Right.
If it gives me, even if it's just 3 months, I'd like to do it. So anyway, he finally did it. Then it came back again in another few months.
Wow.
And then he took that one out too.
Were you going through treatments though? And you say came back again, did you ever go through treatments?
What I have is the chemo and radiation does not work on it.
Doesn't work on it. Got it.
So, I mean, that's a blessing in a lot of ways, because once they did the surgery, I was fine.
Right.
So I didn't have to deal with any of those side effects or anything.
Were you getting stomach aches again? Is that what made you go back the second time, or?
No, you go back for periodic
like
things, but I actually felt it. I could feel
you
it.
did? Okay.
Yeah. So, and then it will never go away.
Right.
And it took a while to get used to that fact. Like, this is not going away. This is, I'm not going to grow to be an old lady. Probably not. But who knows? Only God knows how long I'll be here.
That's right.
And then, so they just watch it grow.
Okay.
And then when it gets big enough to start interfering with things, they go in and take it out. So the last surgery was in 2016, and that was a big one. Well, they were all big ones, but they took out lots of different pieces of me. Felt like Humpty Dumpty.
Right.
But it's just, it changed my whole life. It changed, and it opened up a new ministry for me. And so now anybody who gets diagnosed with cancer, not that I could tell them anything, but you can connect with, they'll call me. What did you do? And
I'm sure.
Things like that. And it gives me a license to talk to people about certain things that someone who hasn't gone down that road can't. And people will talk to me about death. Most people don't want to talk about death.
Right.
And if you try to talk to your relatives about it, they're like, oh, don't talk like that. You're not going anywhere. But a lot of people are. And they want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the ministries that he's given me,
Wow.
is to be with people who are dying. And it just, the day before I was diagnosed, I had gone to see Tim Keller speak. And it turned out that he didn't speak, his wife spoke.
Oh.
And it was just a God moment where she was talking about suffering in general. And she said, if you don't use your suffering to help other people, it's just meaningless sorrow.
Wow, that's powerful.
Your pain has to become, you have to use it. And so the next day I was diagnosed, and I was like, yep.
Wow.
I guess that's why God wanted me to hear her speech.
So it was before the first diagnosis that you, wow.
Yeah.
That must have been a hard holiday season for you, though, because that was the day before Christmas.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
No, it actually wasn't hard. It made me appreciate it all that more.
Right. Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Because I didn't know if I was going to be here next Christmas.
Right.
I appreciate them all more now.
Yeah.
So that's why I wrote the book, because of what she said that day.
That's
If
so
you
good.
don't use your
So
pain
good.
to help somebody else go through theirs, it's just meaningless sorrow.
That's so good and so powerful and so true.
Yeah, it is.
So you went through your first surgery, then a few months later, 6 months later, you went through your second surgery. Now, how many surgeries have you had?
4.
4, and the last one was in 2016. How are you feeling today?
I feel fine. That's the thing. Well, the first one, I didn't feel well at all. I mean,
Yeah, well, that's probably
It was
what
very
brought you
big.
in, right? Yeah.
um,
Was that something that was ongoing for you, like not feeling well? Were you getting like acid reflux a lot
yeah,
or something?
something like that. Yeah, I thought I had an ulcer, or
Yeah.
But when you're in your 40s, you just don't think.
Yeah, no. That's
No
why
one
I'm
thinks,
asking,
like, oh,
because
I got a big
who
tumor
knows
in my
how
stomach.
people are out there not knowing that, right?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes we just think we could take some antacids and
Yeah.
we're good, and then maybe
I
that's
just
not
didn't
the
think
case.
anything of it.
Yeah.
But and it's been such a blessing.
Wow.
And it changed my life. It changed the way I think about life.
Yeah. You probably
So-
do you laugh more?
I think I do.
Yeah.
I think I do.
Because I
I'm always looking for a reason to laugh.
Yeah,
though.
me too. That's why I'm asking. Because I think that maybe I would laugh at my kids' antics more. Maybe I would not be so
I think the only
upset
thing-
about silly things.
The only time you start, distance is the only, time and distance is the only thing that makes your kids' antics funny.
Right. Maybe that's why I'm saying that, because all my kids are out. So
Yes,
it's probably
yes.
true.
Time is an amazing
I only have one
thing.
more at home, and I don't really laugh that much at his
Yeah.
antics. That's so good. I am
Yep.
so glad, though, that you are feeling better. I am so glad that.
I'm still here.
Yeah,
Still
that you're,
writing.
I am so glad you're still here, because it is an honor and a privilege for me to get to know you and to read your books and your writing. And I hope you come out with more, because you are funny and witty and fun.
I don't know if I'm going to write any more books, but I do have a blog.
Yes, and I
and
wanted
I
to
write the
touch on that.
blog every Sunday. And I called it Coffee Talk because everybody makes fun of the way I say coffee.
Oh,
Because
is that
it was
why?
They
I was
claim I have a
wondering why it
Brooklyn
said that.
accent.
Okay, that's why. I love it.
And it's the same as the books. I just talk about what happens to me during the week and how I see God in it.
Right,
Um,
right.
That's it.
I was
It's very
reading
simple.
one of your blogs recently, too, and now I can't remember the title of it, but I was cracking up when I saw the title. Ah, darn it, I can't remember. I wish I should have written it down. But on your blog, Coffee Talk, the way we can find your blog is on choose-wisely.net.
Correct.
Right? And so Choose Wisely is what? What is that?
This is a funny story. A woman I knew in town, about, I don't know how many years after I got sick, but then she got sick. And about a year after that, she called me up, and I didn't know her that well. She called me up and she said, I know this is going to sound really weird, but I keep seeing your face in my dreams and everything, and God keeps telling me to go ask Joanie something, but, do you mind if I come over? And I was like, yeah, sure. So she came over, and she said, I don't know what we're supposed to do with this. He's given me 2 things, your name and these 2 words, choose wisely.
Wow.
I have no idea what we're supposed to do with them. And I said, well, I have no idea either, but I'm game.
Right.
She said, okay, how about if we just meet on a weekly basis and we'll throw ideas around and we'll see what we come up with. So we're basing it all on these 2 words, choose
Wow.
wisely. And so what we determined was applying God's word to your choices would help you make wiser choices.
That's good.
So, what are we going to do with that? And I said, I'm not writing another book. And so she, I don't know how the blog came up.
But the blog was, because I think, if I read earlier, your blog was at 2012, right?
Right.
So you weren't planning on writing any more books in 2012?
No.
Oh my gosh.
No.
And you just said it again, so you might be in for another
I don't know.
book.
It's hard to sell books.
Oh my gosh,
it's hard to
it's
sell
so
books.
hard to
I mean,
sell
I had to
books.
wrestle the $20 out
Yeah.
of people's hands, out of my relatives' hands.
That's so funny.
And
That's
they don't
so
want to see me
true.
coming again selling
Oh my
something
gosh!
else.
And the funny thing is that your books actually are to give to different organizations, right? Because I didn't say
I don't
this
know
before.
that any of them have gotten rich off them, but
Well, that's okay. I mean, the whole point is that you wrote with your heart, and then you're giving it to organizations. And I know that this one, the I Don't Buy Green Bananas, goes to the Center of International Blood and Marrow Transplant Research.
Right.
And so every time you guys buy one of Joanie's books, your money is going to be going to a good place. And on top of the fact that you'll be getting some amazing material, because she is really, really funny. So I think that you are, people just need to follow you, is what I'm saying. So they need to go onto your Coffee Talk. You have really funny, witty, very thought-provoking blogs. I was reading through them and I was enjoying them a lot. And I know that, again, it's on choose-wisely.net. And I'm glad that she listened to God. And from what, even just us talking, I realized that you also hear God. I heard you say a couple of times,
Yeah.
like I heard him, I felt like he was saying this and I heard him say that. And that must be very interesting for you going through this journey with what you're going through with the cancer. Do you still have that dialogue with him? Yeah. So that didn't discourage you or pull you away from him?
oh no, actually, exact opposite. And that's usually what happens.
Yeah.
When you face a crisis like that,
Yeah.
a lot of people either go one way or the other.
One way or the other, yeah.
Yeah. No, that was like his coup de grace.
Right.
He was leading me, getting a little closer, a little closer over the years in the Bible study.
Right.
And, it didn't happen overnight. I didn't bang, have this aha moment.
Right.
And I have this wonderful relationship with Jesus. And in fact, when I first started Bible study and people kept talking about that, I was like, oh, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
And I just, I was like,
that.
I really like coming here, ladies, but I'm not feeling the same thing.
Right.
And then I started getting jealous, like, well, wait, I want to feel the same way. I want to be just
want
as
that
joyful
too.
as them. Because they're the happiest people I know. Not that they don't have, everybody has their
Everybody has
trials,
trials.
but there's an underlying joy that they had that I wanted.
Right.
And I said, I'm coming. And and that's what I tell God, I'm coming. I'm not going to stop coming until I get that.
Yeah.
And it took, 7 years. And then it was crises that finally just kind of pushed me into his arms.
That's really powerful.
Yeah.
Because you're right, you can go one way or the other.
Yeah.
But that also speaks to people who do believe in God and people who don't believe in God.
Yeah.
Because the truth is that we're not basing, I say we, I'm not trying to jump into your bandwagon here, but I am also a believer,
Mm-hmm.
right? I do believe in Jesus. That's something that I strongly believe in. And I believe that when we have that solid foundation, it's not about what we can get out of God or what he can or does not do for us. It's just more of a solid foundation. It's just something you can stand on and you're secure in.
Right.
Right? That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
And
You
that
can lose a lot of things.
Yeah.
But you can't lose that.
Yeah. I mean, I
You
think
can give it away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you absolutely can, and it's your free will to do so.
Right.
I just know that listening to your story encourages me. It inspires me, and it also talks a lot about who you are as a person, as a woman, as a believer, because you could have easily gone the other way for sure, and it takes a lot of strength is what I'm trying to say, a lot of stability to stand in what you believe in spite of what things look like. And that's a very powerful thing. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. I appreciate you, and I thank you very, very much. Thank you so much. So guys, you have to go out and get her books immediately, okay? On Amazon. You can get them on Amazon immediately. It's Joanie Butman. And subscribe to her blog. You can go on choose-wisely.net. You will see her blog there, which is Coffee Talk. It's such a cute little picture of her, like a cartoon with a little coffee in her hand. And if you can reach her actually at jmbchoosewisely, right, at gmail.com. And I hope that you will reach out to Straight Talk. Let me know if you have any questions, anything you want me to share with Joanie. I also gave you her contact information. Please feel free to contact her. Thank you so much for watching and for spending this time with us. This is a wonderful time together. This is our Coffee Talk at Straight Talk, no sugar added. Until next time, thank you.